Hello everybody, welcome back to another Weather Central forecast. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Now today's forecast we will be going over once again this possible severe weather outbreak. I do expect this to be an outbreak, but obviously we'll have to wait and see what this event does produce. This will be my official forecast on it. I know yesterday was my official forecast, but I was able to update it today and get a video out for you guys. So before we get into this video, I do want to start off with a disclaimer that these forecasts are my opinion. They are based off of model guidance and past occurrences of weather. For the most accurate and up-to-date weather, please consult your local National Weather Service office, as they will have more up-to-date information than I will, especially on these major events, like I do expect this system to be. I hope you guys do enjoy the forecast. Let's go ahead and go over to my official forecast for this system. So here we are with my official Weather Central forecast. Now you guys will notice a big region of snow on the back end of this system. It says we're going to be seeing these, those cooler enough conditions to support that snowfall. In the pink, we're seeing our heaviest snowfall, which we will be taking a look at totals on snowfall throughout this system as well. In this, lighter turquoise-ish color, we're seeing some, heavier snow. And then once you get into this, darker blue, you're looking at least some measurable snow. I do expect some of this snow to get into some of this rain region right here, but it's not going to be enough to put it in the region of measurable snow. I do expect in this yellow here some thunderstorms. That's on the on the outer boundary of the severe weather. Obviously in the red I have severe weather. The closer you get to the darker colors, you're looking at the biggest chance of severe weather. And I do have my biggest chance of severe weather extending from parts of southeastern Kansas all the way down into parts of central Texas, seeing that heaviest severe weather. So let's go ahead and move over to the Storm Prediction Center outlook for this system. Okay, so here we are on the Storm Prediction Center. This is the front, or I guess I should say the beginning part of this system. The next, where we're seeing our bulk of our, energy for this system will be day 3, which this model does not go out to. Which it does, but it doesn't go out to the 4-panel or the category, or it does go out to categorical, but not tornado probabilities or anything like that. So we're just going to look at our 4-panel for day 2. We're seeing in this yellow here, they're expecting the biggest risk of severe weather, whether that be thunderstorms, wind damage, hail damage, all of that taken into account. And, in that yellow, you're seeing your biggest chance of severe weather. Here in the lightish green, you're looking at a general thunderstorm risk. And then in these marginals, which is the darker green around the yellow, you're looking at a little bit of an enhanced risk of maybe a severe thunderstorm, but it doesn't look anything like too crazy. Tornado percentage, or I guess I should say tornado probabilities, stay less than 2% in all areas throughout tomorrow. We're seeing for hail, for hail, we're seeing obviously a 5% chance in this darker green, and once you get into this yellow, you're looking at 15%. That's probably where we're seeing those updrafts and the cooler up in the atmosphere, which we could go over soundings too. Not sure if I'm going to end up doing that. And then for wind damage, we have a 5% chance in those marginal and slight risks for severe weather. So let's go ahead and move over to the models. So here we are with the models. You can see our low that will be associated with this system is just around Utah. This is 6 hours out. If we move this on, you'll see this low tracks eastward and is now into parts of Colorado, into parts of Kansas. Obviously, we've talked about this setup many times. We have this low up here to the north. It's going to transfer energy, cause a big, big amount of precip for parts of the north. It's going to leave behind some squall line thunderstorms, and that will be tracking south and east, and we will get enough CAPE to support those heavy thunderstorms, maybe isolated EF1, EF0 tornadoes throughout those areas. So we can see that low at 999. We're seeing some snow off to the back end of it, which is going to be in that measurable snow region. We're seeing some snow up into Canada, but I doubt I have any Canadian viewers watching this. You can see some snow getting into parts of northwestern Nebraska, into parts of the Dakotas, into parts of Wyoming. And then, you can see some of that snow start to make its way into parts of Minnesota, parts of Minnesota, and you can see temperatures just under freezing up into parts of Minnesota. So you will see some of that snow start to stick. You're seeing 40s into parts of western Wisconsin, though, so I don't think that snow mixing in for those regions will be too big of a deal. But we're starting to see our squall line thunderstorm starting to develop on the southern end of this system. You can see that really start to take place. We're getting some Gulf moisture from the south getting injected into this, going to be adding a lot of precip to this system, which is going to make it very significant for flooding throughout these regions. You can see a high concentration up into parts of the Ohio Valley, all the way down into parts of southwestern Missouri, into parts of northeastern Arkansas. You can see the axis of it shifts. Oops. Let's move this back. Right here. So the axis of it shifts down into parts of the Ohio Valley. Like I said, we're still seeing some of those squall line thunderstorms, some light thunderstorms making its way into parts of Texas and Oklahoma. And then it kind of just stays stationary over Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. That's going to cause for some flooding for sure. You can see some very heavy rainfall rates. Okay, it's not really wanting to stay. There we go. So we're seeing some very heavy rainfall rates down into parts of extreme southeastern Kansas. We're approaching an inch an hour in terms of rainfall. So that is some very heavy rainfall nonetheless. And like I said, it's going to cause a lot of flash flooding throughout these areas. We're seeing some of that snow on the back end once again, which will make its way into parts of Iowa, into parts of Nebraska and in South Dakota, which we aren't going to be going over this, so my forecast is not going to be showing that. But we could be seeing a possible snowstorm on our hand, and obviously I'll go over that after we get away from the severe weather event here, which could, possibly produce some isolated tornadoes, which it will make it a big deal nonetheless. You can see that tracks up to the north. But confidence in this system is still pretty low for in terms of the snowfall side of it, just because it is over 100 hours out. I really start to grasp on my confidence whenever the NAM picks it up. So whenever it's 84 hours or less, my confidence really does increase if the NAM does show that. So let's go ahead and make our way over to the CAPE values. So here we are on CAPE. Now basically CAPE, if you guys haven't heard me explain these in my other forecasts, CAPE is basically food for thunderstorms. The more CAPE you have, the better, chance you have of a thunderstorm, and the bigger thunderstorms you'll see is in those higher CAPE values of, exceeding 1,000 joules. So we're going to move this on. You can see up to hour 6, we're starting to see a good concentration of CAPE down into Texas, possible of producing some thunderstorms, maybe some isolated strong thunderstorms at times. And then that moves its way up into parts of southeastern Nebraska, into central, southern, and northern Kansas, in that squall line formation. You can see that moves its way south and eastward, down to parts of Oklahoma and maybe even some parts of southern Missouri at this point, seeing at least, some CAPE, but the higher concentration is into parts of Oklahoma, extending up into parts of Kansas, where we're seeing CAPE just under 1,000 throughout those areas. You can see right here we're seeing maybe just over 1,000 joules down into parts of extreme, let's move this back, down into parts of, southern Kansas, into parts of northern Oklahoma. You can see in this frame right here, I don't know why it keeps doing that. That's my bad, my apologies. You can see this higher concentration of CAPE down into parts of Oklahoma, like I was saying. And we move this on, it tries to make its way into Missouri, which could cause some severe thunderstorms throughout those areas. But the bigger chance of severe weather looks to be throughout these regions right here, especially for Missouri. I'd expect, parts of Joplin extending north and eastward, up to Columbia, seeing some severe weather, possibly some isolated heavy thunderstorms throughout those regions. It's going to stay stationary, so that CAPE's going to kind of stay there for a little bit. And it's really going to, the CAPE is really going to take off down into parts of western Texas. We're seeing CAPE just over 1,500 joules, which is going to be enough to produce thunderstorms if we do have that precipitation line up with that. So let's go ahead and look over at Helicity to look at our updrafts throughout this system. So here we are with Helicity. If you guys don't know what Helicity is, it is the updraft in a storm. Where you're seeing those higher updrafts, you're looking at maybe some supercellular development and or really strong thunderstorms with those, inflow vents. And they're going to be possible of producing tornadoes if you have very high updrafts. So you can see in this model, just 9 hours out, we're already seeing some very strong updrafts into parts of Kansas, northern, southern, central, and and those parts of Kansas that I just circled there. If we move this on, you can see that does get into parts of south, eastern Nebraska there, possibly producing some strong thunderstorms if you do have that precip line up. And then that moves eastward. You can see, you can kind of see the transfer of energy when we get that Gulf moisture injected. We're going to see a big amount of updraft develop right here in the next frame, and just watch this happen. You can see it kind of takes that energy from the Gulf. You can see some very strong updrafts into parts of southeastern Kansas, into northeastern into northeastern Oklahoma, even into parts of Oklahoma City, the metro area, seeing some very strong updrafts as well. And that's going to move eastward into parts of southwestern Missouri, extending in a squall line up to parts of Michigan. Seeing those updrafts, and it's going to kind of stay sorry about that. It's going to kind of stay, what am I trying to say here? It's going to stay stationary throughout these regions. That's what I meant to say. The updrafts will, so if you do get any, thunderstorms or precip line up in these areas, you're going to be looking at maybe an isolated strong thunderstorm throughout these regions. So let's go ahead and look at snowfall totals for this event, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So here we are with the GFS snow totals here. And you can see we have a good line of 3 inches or more extending from parts of central and northeastern Minnesota, extending down into parts of the mountainous regions of Colorado, all the way over into parts of Utah, into parts of Nevada, into parts of northern Arizona, which I did not include on my map because it really didn't. It kind of already has happened at the time of recording this video, because the model runs that I am using are a little bit dated. So you can see a high concentration in the parts of extreme northeastern South Dakota, and a higher concentration in the parts of Minnesota too. Then we're seeing, a bigger region of 9+ inches into these regions right here. But overall, if you guys are in this circled area here, expect over 3 inches, isolated higher amounts of maybe 10 inches in some areas. But overall, 3 to 6 inches throughout these regions right here. And as you make your way into the more mountainous regions, expect 8 to 12 to maybe up to 13 to 14 inches in some areas. So that's about it for this Weather Central forecast, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. Please stay weather aware with this system if you guys live in any of the severe weather regions. Keep an eye on your guys' local National Weather Service office for these latest updates on this storm. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next